When COVID came and we closed the school, we were just home with education and the lessons and topics in our class. We are behind. I know how my community is and the damage it has done to my community where I stay, and also to myself and my education.
From March 2020, COVID-19 forced schools in the SADC region to close for months on end, resulting in an estimated 66% of the academic year being lost. Health and education systems were not prepared for a pandemic of this scale, resulting in the lives of over 127 million young people being severely impacted.
Lockdown e kadile 2020 March, mme ya fela October. Ya ba neng e kala hape 2021. Mme re ile sekolong 3 days. Ka lo sa ne leng mitritso go tswa go take lockdown.
With access to broadband severely limited for large portions of SADC residents, a limited supply of electricity, and the prohibitive expense of mobile data, smart handsets and computers, many young people were left without any access to education.
We were not able to learn, we can't go to school.
Banzanga wena ngubenze kutamba pa mativi wapunzira patise kuno tenzeli tibe TV tibe electricity laptop yonse kulibe kuti olo pa phone kuti endeko pa phone kulibe phone kuti.
There was programs that were offered on the national radio and the national TV, but it was only for a month. Then after that, there were no more.
With growing concerns of understanding how the COVID-19 lockdown has affected the lives of young people, MIET Africa and the HSRC have conducted an intensive regional study to investigate these impacts across 6 SADC member states: Lesotho, Madagascar, Malawi, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, making key recommendations to the governments involved.
The SADC Secretariat has got among its objective to alleviate poverty and also enhance the quality of life of its citizens. However, since the advent of COVID, there's been new challenges. Challenges in healthcare service deliveries, challenges in education. Hence, we've seen most of the youth now, due to the harsh lockdown imposed, being forced to stay at home and not accessing education and hardly accessing healthcare services. At this juncture, it's also important to mention the report which has been developed by MIET Africa to assess the impact of COVID in the region. We have collected very fruitful, insightful information which will help the region to move forward.
The study found that due to school closures and different forms of lockdown, the safety and well-being of young people was compromised, with a marked increase in domestic violence and abuse, unprotected sex, teenage pregnancy, child marriages, and substance abuse.
Damages that were caused when they closed schools were this teenage pregnancies. Girls were now all around, because sometimes school helps us to stay away from those things.
I went a little bit crazy because I engaged myself in a bad company, and my friends were like drinking, substance abusing.
The guys now, they have that time to go smoke weed wherever they are, drink alcohol, make noise, violence everywhere. It's now something else.
When COVID came, it didn't just close schools, it also closed our youth groups. When we go there, we get a song for keeping ourselves clean and the drama, and also for teenage pregnancy. We used to teach each other that if you don't want to get pregnant earlier, you can use either family planning or these condoms. Yes, that was the only place where we used to feel comfortable and feel open to tell each other about how we should be living.
With healthcare facilities across the region severely constrained and focused on the treatment of COVID-19, 92% of young people reported struggling to access health services and support.
Ha o fihla mono o fumana line tse ntse le telele. Mme ha manese a mang a fihla le batho ba ona. A fihla a kena ka pela hao. Mme ha fihla ka nnete. O ntse le mono no, mme nako yona ntse tsamaya.
Tezoshita tikaenda pa kliniki. Tikaenda late, kaipa kliniki nipatali. So tikaenda late. Benzo tibweza kuti bantu bakwana nzofuna che bantu bali 50. Ati bantu bakwana bwererani mukabwereko next time.
With mass unemployment, many families are struggling to pay school fees and put food on the table, further aggravated by the closure of social service offices. With bleak prospects, many youth are reporting mental health and psychological problems, with large numbers forced to drop out of school or doing so voluntarily.
Yeah, it was so tricky even for the workers now, the people who work. Yeah, like for example, the parents. The parents, it was hard for them now to find money because COVID. Wherever you go, maybe you find there are no jobs because of COVID.
Lockdown and cause ke feletswe ke mosebetsi. Ya ba ke a fokotsa gobane neng go bontsha gore ga o sana bareki bana ona ntho ba e jang. Ke na le bana bano ba bagago bano be ineng ke ntse ke lakatsa go ba e sekolong ke tsebo kgatlhametsa ditabatabelo tsa bona. Bele ke bona ke se ke sa kgone ka nnete e tlile eng anne haholo gobane ke ntse ke bona gore ke banana qetellong ya letsatsi ha ba qetella ba sa fumane ba tla qetella ba ka phela bophelo bo bona ba ho iketsa di sebediswa tsa bontate ke sebile ke tshwere ke methapo ke ntwe.
Well, I can't go back to school because my mom doesn't have money to pay for school fees.
Ima government chabe mama kamba ti tizambo kulipilirana ku school but apa maya wanabonte pamana batuza ati government ben drama kazi sakiriani mweka drama wanabwa kutuza ati ndimo bakulu
seba black game ya social welfare ke yone ka twista bana ha ba qetela ba ile sekolong empa go latela maemo a COVID ha o ntso o kwetswe ha ke so ka ba ke iponahatsa ka lebaka lona le lo go ntso o kwetswe.
What I've noticed is that few of students are coming back while most of them are still at home.
I'm kind of scared maybe I won't go back to school, or will I ever have that chance to go back to school? Because the finance is on high. I'm trying to fight for my goals, for my good grades at school. Now it's stopping me from doing those things.
Some of the parents who can afford, they fear that the third wave or another wave of COVID-19 is coming. So they fear that after paying the fees for their children, the school might be closed. The other thing is that these learners, they are saying there is no use of coming to school, whereas you are not going to get job. Some of them are the heads of the families, so they have gone out to search for jobs so that they can provide for their younger brothers and younger sisters.
Ka nnete ke bophelo bo thata haholo ka nnete ho fumantsha la hore o ntse le ngwana mme o dumantse o le ngwana o supporta ngwana e mong mme ka tsela eno ho batla go ba thata hobane ke ntse mohlala ka gala di fedile fela ka tlung taba eno ya o di fresa o le motho ona o tlo nka dijo tseo ka o sa sebetse ntse o kena sekolo.
Through the study, it is evident that a committed approach between government, NGOs, and the private sector is imperative to prioritize the health and education of young people, to ensure education never stops, to close the digital divide, and adopt an inclusive approach that supports those at risk of being left behind, whilst giving young people effective participation and agency in the matters that impact them most.
It's true that the such reports help us to understand the magnitude of the challenges ahead of us. But with the political will which has been always demonstrated in the region by our different head of state and head of government, we're sure that we will address those challenges and prepare for the next pandemic in the region.
School really important in the future because ngati sunapunzire imankhala difficult kuti loko kupeza ndalama. Maana ngati sunaende ku school kulimbi ngankhala difficult life ngankhala difficult kuli.
These kids need education. They need to be educated, they need to be provided because education is the right. Every child has the right to education.
We are not supposed to be here where we are. So it really impacted us, and if it were to add a voice, me being called to add a voice, I think I could really advise that let them bring back those groups so that they can help us express ourselves as the community.
Re tlameha hore mmuso go jwetse taba tsa rona mme o re mamele hobane ke mona re di bana ba dikolo thuto ya rona e senyehile bitsong la hobane ha ka ra kena dikolo hantle.
When they want to shut down, they have to speak to us first. They hear our voice as the pupils effect.
It's high time the government start thinking about the new generation. It's high time the government start building the future for the coming generation.
Thank you.